How's it going, everyone? We are coming up on one of the craziest seasons of game releases in recent memory, and in this video, I really want to focus on the month of October. Sometimes in recent years, with everything going on in the world, that hasn't been the case. It hasn't been as busy as I should say, you know, a couple of years ago, like, you know, before 2019, 2020, like, there were some falls that were absolutely crazy. Boy, oh boy, are we getting back to that this year. And I want to particularly in this video hone in on the month of October, because if you guys are unaware, this is going to be one of the craziest months for game releases, maybe of all time. Now, October, generally speaking, is a crazy month for game releases in general. I remember years like 2011, I think it was, where Batman Arkham City and like Battlefield 3 came out in the same month. That month just stands out to me. October, November, generally speaking, is pretty packed, but this year in particular is really a return to form for that. I mean, some of you guys might be like, alright, yo, like, they're literally gonna bleed me dry of all my money, and that's the thing I want to hone in on, because there is no possible way that you have the time to play all of these games. Some of you guys have disposable income, and that's great. You can buy all of the games that come out, but no one in their right mind has the time to play all of these games. And there are some big games that are coming out, and I want to assess every single one of them. And unfortunately, the reality is that there are some big games coming out in October, big budget titles that I do think are going to get lost in the shuffle just because of, you know, everything surrounding the game's release. One in particular, I am really curious to see how it does, and unfortunately, I think it could face some collateral with all the other games coming out. So let's break down all of October. Disgaea 7 Vows of the Virtueless. Now, that's not a gigantic release, but I think that'll do fairly well just because the Disgaea fans are a hardcore fan base. Disgaea at this point is not going to be one of those franchises that's just like, oh, should I buy Disgaea or should I not buy Disgaea? No, if you're into Disgaea, you're going to buy it, and it's going to be a grindy game. If you're buying it, that's probably all you're going to buy in October. Maybe that and one other game, but Disgaea is a massive undertaking, so I think that'll do fine. Another major release, we have Assassin's Creed Mirage. This is one that I am getting more and more excited for based on what I am hearing about it. Now it's Ubisoft, and sometimes I get baited by what I read in articles and whatnot, but if Mirage is what I think it's gonna be, and it's gonna be a return to Assassin's Creed of the old, we're hearing that it's gonna be a 15 to 20 hour experience, which I can't praise that enough. That makes me so excited because I am so sick of the 80 to 100 hour Assassin's Creed games. I get it, people like them. Ubisoft gets to keep people invested, microtransactions, DLC, all that good stuff. If you're into it, more power to you, but I want a return to what Assassin's Creed used to be. From 2007 to 2015, Assassin's Creed was one of my favorite franchises. Every year I could go into it thinking, you know what, Assassin's Creed probably won't be Game of the Year, but will it be a game that I really enjoy every year? Yeah, it was. Even the downers, like I think it was 2012 Assassin's Creed 3 or 2014's Assassin's Creed Unity, even those games I had a good time with. AC3 I thought was okay, it just took a little time to get going. AC Unity had its technical issues at launch, but ultimately, it was a decent game and I want to replay it at some point. If Assassin's Creed Mirage can give me something like that, I think it's going to be great. $50 price tag is a little bit, like, that's something to pay attention to just because Assassin's Creed is such a big IP. Ubisoft, if they can price something at $70 or $60, they're going to do it. So with Mirage it being $50, I am curious what the reasoning for that is. Obviously, it is a shorter experience, so we'll see how it turns out, but I am cautiously optimistic for that one. Sword Art Online, last recollection. I mean, if you're like a Kirito fan, I guess, like, you'll be all in on that. I think SAO is terrible, but, you know, people are into it, so more power to you on that. Next up, this is the game that unfortunately I could see facing some collateral damage based on every other game coming out, and that is Lords of the Fallen. And what I've seen of Lords of the Fallen thus far, I am very, very impressed by. I think this game looks really good. The issue is just a timing standpoint. Look, Souls-like games are gonna have a level of interest, but anything that's not Souls itself is always gonna be, you know, approached with a little bit of caution, and given that there are so many games coming out, I could see this being one that people are like, hey, do I need to buy it right away? Let me wait and see how the reviews are. Let me see if the game will go discounted at some point. That's something to consider, and it is a $70 game on PS5 and Xbox Series. I mean, that's not all too surprising given that it is a next-gen only title. There is a deluxe edition at 80 bucks as well. But, yeah, like, I have a bad feeling that this game is gonna be the one that, of all the big releases, we're talking the gigantic releases, like an Assassin's Creed Mirage, like a Lords of the Fallen, we'll get into a couple more. I could see Lords of the Fallen being the one that people hold off on just because, first of all, $70 price tag. Lords of the Fallen back in 2014 wasn't this, like, gargantuanly well-received game. Like, it was a fine Souls-like experience, and this one, like, in my opinion, looks really solid, but I just think timing wise, it's a little bit of an issue. Like, if Lords of the Fallen came out at the end of July, I think the game would do pretty damn well. I just think timing is going to be an issue with this one, so that's my 2 cents on that. Obviously, as you move forward, a week after Lords of the Fallen, you have the big one, Marvel Spider-Man 2. I think everybody is going to drop whatever they're playing to play Spider-Man 2. If you have yet to play Marvel Spider-Man or Spider-Man Miles Morales, get on that immediately. I plan on doing a replay of both games before Spider-Man 2 comes out. Like, this is a no-brainer. This is a game that's 70 bucks, but guess what? Spider-Man's a colossal IP. Spider-Man 2018 was incredibly well-received. Everybody loves Insomniac. It's a true PS5 exclusive, which, you know, a first-party PS5 exclusive. We haven't seen one published in how long? Not a VR game, a true PS5 exclusive. I literally think it's Ratchet Rift Apart. Am I crazy? Is that it? I guess you could count Burning Shores because the expansion was next-gen exclusive, but yeah, after legitimately years for a big-budget AAA first-party exclusive that's not on PS4, Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok were both on PS4, Spider-Man 2, a true next-gen title, you know, I think it's gonna do incredibly well, and I'm super excited for it. Like, they don't even need to do some crazy marketing push for this. Like, everybody's gonna buy this. If you have a PS5, this is like one of those games. It was the reason you bought a PS5. You know, so this is gonna do exceedingly well, and that's why, like, yo, one week you have Assassin's Creed Mirage, the next week you have Lords of the Fallen, and the following week you have Spider-Man 2. I don't think a lot of people are gonna buy all 3 of those, so if you're gonna skip out on one, what is gonna be the game you skip out on? I feel like for most people, it's gonna be Lords of the Fallen. Maybe for a lot of people, Assassin's Creed just hasn't done it for them, and bear in mind, if you think about it, you know, from a budget standpoint, Ubisoft games hit the bargain bin fairly damn quickly, so honestly, it may pay dividends to wait on Assassin's Creed Mirage. It may pay dividends to wait on Mirage and Lords of the Fallen, because I can see both of those going on cheap fairly quickly. With Mirage, it's almost certainly a guarantee, just because if past this prologue, we see what happens with Ubisoft games. They get cheap incredibly, incredibly quickly, but yeah, there you go with that. That is just my thought process on those 3 being some major releases. A couple of other big games rounding out the lineup, and there's still another major release. City Skylines 2 is October 24th. Now, the thing with City Skylines 2 is, first of all, this is a game that is more so catered towards PC, but it will also be on Xbox Game Pass. So if you have a PC that's capable of running City Skylines 2, you can play it through Xbox Game Pass, or if you have an Xbox Series S, you can play it through Game Pass, or a Series X. That's probably going to be the route to go. Otherwise, I mean, this is a game you're certainly going to get your mileage out of, and, you know, the game is releasing at $49.99. The Ultimate Edition is $90. City Skylines 1 had a gigantic amount of additional content, so, you know, I would expect the same with City Skylines 2. But yeah, October 24th on that. Also October 24th, you have the release of Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. Now, we're all kind of memeing on this collection now because we found out it's going to be 720p, which, like, boy oh boy, why is a PS5 game at 720p? It should be 4K 60 FPS, given that these are, you know, PS2 games, PS3 HD remasters, I guess you could consider. Switch is running them at 30 FPS, and I heard it's dipping below 30 FPS, which is just mind-numbing. But yeah, that is coming out. It's gonna be $60. I personally think that's gonna be wait for a deep discount based on what we're hearing about the quality of that collection. Another game that I think is gonna get lost in the shuffle a little bit, Alone in the Dark. I'm really excited for this one, man, but Alone in the Dark is one of those games that timing-wise is just so bad. In between Spider-Man 2 and another big game that we're gonna get to, but I'm excited for it. I think the game so far has looked pretty good, and there is a prologue available, so you can check that out if you want. Atmospherically, I think the game is gonna be great, but yeah, that's out October 25th. Just announced. Ghost Runner 2, October 26th. There is a Brutal Edition at $70 that'll give you 48 hours early access. You know, this gimmick of early access for the Premium Edition, I am shocked that Sony has not picked up on this for their first-party releases. Given that Sony, let's be real, they're trying to get as much money out of their audience as humanly possible. If they could charge $65 for a high-quality piece of plastic, why can't they charge, you know, I'm not saying do this, but I'm just thinking about it from like Sony's viewpoint. Bro, if Spider-Man 2 came out with like a deluxe edition at $100, literally $100, but you're giving them quote-unquote early access, let's be real, the game is already finished, they're just trying to get extra money from you, that's how this works, at $100, they would sell Spider-Man 2 at $100. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that that would happen, but thankfully, they haven't done that yet, and hopefully they don't do it. It's just like, I'm kind of surprised with all these other publishers doing it. I mean, even Microsoft is doing it with Starfield and Forza Motorsport, so, you know, I am kind of surprised by that. With Microsoft, it is kind of interesting because they have the Game Pass element, and now you can upgrade to the Ultimate Editions of these games, get early access, etc., etc. But Ghost Runner 2, Ghost Runner 1 was awesome. Check it out on PlayStation Plus. It's really good. It just is very, very challenging. Almost made me break my damn controller, but excited for Ghost Runner 2. I expect another fast-paced action parkour-based title here. And yeah, base game is $40. The Brutal Edition has the Season Pass, some in-game skins, things like that. $70 on that. There's also a Deluxe Edition, but Deluxe Edition is $50, and it doesn't give you early access, and it doesn't give you the Season Pass. It's just a bunch of skins and whatnot, so keep that in mind. And then lastly, man, we're just rounding out the month with another major release, Alan Wake 2. Digital-only release, which I know that is definitely going to push some people away, but I still think it's going to do very well, and that's why, like, man, I feel for THQ Nordic here. I feel for Alone in the Dark, because sandwiched between Spider-Man 2 and Alan Wake 2, like, what? That game is just doomed. It is doomed from a timing standpoint, and you can't do anything outside of delaying that game. Like, it's just so unfortunate that it's coming out on October 25th, and not only Alan Wake 2 and Spider-Man, MGS Volume 1, for what we say about the collection itself, it's still MGS City Skylines 2. Those aren't any, you know, small titles either, but you just throw in Spider-Man 2, Alan Wake 2, and even Ghost Runner 2. Alone in the Dark is in trouble, I think. Especially because Alan Wake 2, if you want that atmospheric horror game, I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards that. Alone in the Dark releases 48 hours before Alan Wake 2. Like, timing-wise, it's just so bad for that game, and I really feel bad because I think that game looks really solid, and I think it's going to end up being pretty good, but I think most of the attention is going to gravitate towards Alan Wake 2, and obviously Spider-Man 2, so that's just a bummer, but there you go with that. That is the October lineup. Your wallets are going to be eviscerated. If you like buying games day one, boy, pack a lunch, because this is going to be one of the craziest months. Me, personally, the games I'm excited for and definitely going to be checking out, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Lords of the Fallen. I just think, for me, you know, I don't need another Souls-like. Like, that's not my favorite genre anyway, but we'll see about that one. Obviously, Spider-Man 2. City Skylines, I love the first one, and I'm not big into those city builders, but I'll play it through Game Pass. Alone in the Dark, I do want to check out. Ghost Runner 2, I certainly will check out, and Alan Wake 2, absolutely, 100%. It's just that last week of October, like, bro, nobody has the time to play all those games. That's really the issue when we get to that last week of October, so let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. It's a great time with all of these games, but for your wallet, it's a dangerous, dangerous time. So that'll do it for me. Sound off down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.